Michaela.
All right, thank you, Diana, for that introduction. I appreciate it. So, hi, everyone. You've already seen my face if you were able to attend other sessions, but if not, don't worry. You're not behind on anything, so you're good to go. So today, as Diana mentioned, we're going to do build an automation with Studio. So we're going to work through that, be very hands-on with it. I also, hopefully, if you have time, I want to share some resources that we have for educators that use the Studio platform. And then also maybe we'll get a chance for Priya to speak to us as well, and she'll be able to provide some experience that she has with industry with some of these products. I only have 2 slides to show you all today because we're going to be very hands-on with the technology and having more conversations and just kind of highlighting different resources. So the first thing that we have to do is install the software if you haven't already. So I will start putting links in the chat for that. So basically what you're going to do is you're going to fill out the form here. So download the software. So you're going to fill out this form in order to get access to the installer. So I'm going to show it here. All you have to do is fill the fields with the stars. So fill out your first name, last name, email, select educator, your country region, your institution, your fields of study and work, and then declare that you agree to the license agreement. Once you fill out this form, you will then receive an email from info@mail.uipath.com. This email is going to have 3 things. It's going to have the installer, it's going to have the instruction or installation guide, and then it's going to have a license key that has 2 activations. The reason that we provide 2 activations is if you're using this on work computer, personal computer, or maybe you're a student and you want to access it via lab in your personal computer. So we want to make sure that you're able to access the software everywhere. So you're just going to first fill out this form here, and then you'll receive the email, and then you can click on the 2023.10 MSI, and that'll kick off the installation. So I'm going to give everybody a second to fill out that form, and then I can also go over the installation guide as needed. All right. And then just looking at some beginning questions that we're having while people are doing this. Is the currency conversion project still out there on the academic portal? Yes, so we do still have the currency conversion. I'll give you a sneak peek into our resources. So while people are trying to get the software downloaded, so this is our educator portal platform, and I'm going to show this to y'all later, so don't think that I'm skipping any steps, but just wanted to make sure that I don't forget to highlight this later. You would just navigate to the exercises tab. Once you go there, I'm just going to have to remember which name it is. 1 second. So we have a bunch of different exercises here with descriptions, which product is used, what's the time estimate, and then you can see here at the bottom, we have the currency data extraction exercise. So I'll also share the link to this portal page as well, while some people are getting access to the software. No problem, Jeffrey. And then Diana is also sharing on the chat ways that you can watch the previous sessions that we held this week. If you have any questions from watching the recordings, feel free to reach out to me via email as well. I'll make sure to share my email in the chat later on. So again, just a quick review. And also, if you could in the chat, if y'all could post like have the software good to go, that'd be great. I'm not sure how many people are coming to this session that don't already have it installed on their computers. Thank you, Robert. I appreciate that. So again, just fill out this form. You'll receive an email. Let me drag that out. That's going to be from info@mail.uipath.com. You're going to click on this link. It'll download the installer, and then you can follow the installation guide. Let me get that up. So it's a pretty common sense installation, but I do recommend if you want to, you can bring the instructions up as you go. So let me zoom in because I don't think anybody can be able to see this on my screen. So you can click quick or custom. Either option really will work for the installation. We just kind of picked one for the directions for today. So if you choose custom, you'll then just click install for all users on this computer or install for me only. Really, both options work as well. And then choose automation developer and click install. And then you're going to have to wait while the product installs. It might ask you to close out of your Chrome windows. Then once it finishes the installation process, you'll click launch on UiPath Studio. This is the part that's really crucial for whenever you're installing the software. So if you were to reference the directions, the part that you really need to pay attention to are steps 6 through 8. So you're going to click more options. Let me zoom in some more. So whenever you get to this screen, you want to click more options, add license key. And then you're going to add that license key in. That's from the email. So like, here's my license key, include the dashes as well. And then click automatic recommended and then click continue. And then you should be good to go. So I am going to put those 3 steps in the chat just because I feel like those are the ones that are maybe not as clear, not something that you would necessarily think to do. Add license key. And thank you for everybody letting me know when you're good to go. I appreciate it. I don't want anyone to start behind, but I don't want to be waiting for no one. So I appreciate. So I'm going to give everybody about 1 or 2 more minutes. Thank you for everyone's patience while we wait to get going. Also, what I'm going to put in the chat while we're waiting for people to download. And also, I'm just talking to fill time and provide more resources. So if any of y'all are having questions or issues with downloading, please do put it in the chat or interrupt me. It's totally fine. I just want to make sure everyone can access the software. All right. Thank you, Joel. And then there are the exercise instructions for the exercise that we will be building out today. I do recommend accessing it, maybe having it up on your computer, just in case you need to, reference something I did. And it's also just great to have if this is something you end up doing with your students. It's already all documented out for you. So it could be a really great resource for you all.
If you had one already before and it asks upgrade, should you take out the old one or just upgrade?
If you had one that's like an older version, so like if you had 2021 or 2022, you can just install it right on top. And then thank you, Jeffrey, for joining. And I don't know if you're still here, but if you are, if you have any issues with navigating that to Studio Web, please do reach out to me via email. I know other educators would love to use that exercise, so I'd be happy to help. So hope you have a good Friday. Alrighty. So everyone can access their the directions, access the software, and you're good to go whenever you see this screen that is now on my desktop. All right, I'm going to give it 1 more minute and then we will start building out the automation. Let me get my instructions up on my screen. And I'm really sorry if y'all hear dogs barking in the background. For some reason, my neighbor's dogs are having a fit. You never know what background sounds you'll get when you work from home.
You're fine, Michaela. We don't hear anything. I
Okay,
guess we have a
good,
good noise cancellation one. Yeah, yeah.
There's like 6 of them just freaking out right now. So luckily my dog's not one of them. Cross fingers that continues. Alrighty. So I am going to get started. And as Diana mentioned in the beginning, I'm going to try to monitor the chat a little bit while I'm going through, but we're going to have our expert here, Priya. She'll be helping with questions along with Arya. She's another one of me. We're both the program managers for the Academic Alliance program. So please do put your questions in the chat if you need to. And also we're a pretty small group. So if you need to, take off mute as well, that's totally fine. So I am going to kind of get started and get moving. I'll move a little bit slowly though, in case we have any stragglers. So what we're going to do is we have UiPath Studio open. And the first thing we're going to do is click on new project. And underneath that, we're going to click on process. So this is just the first step for building an automation in Studio. And I'm looking for my annotation tool. Here it is. For the name of the process, I called it Build Your First Automation with Studio. You can call it whatever you want. It's just a name for you to be able to reference. I was testing this out, so I already have that existing in my files. So I'm going to call mine version 2. But if you have not built this automation out before, you can just call it Build Your First Automation with Studio. Then we have the description box. So the description is just kind of a reference. So if you're building out a ton of automations, or if you're trying to look back at an automation you built a year ago, the description is your friend, because I can barely remember what I did last week. So expect me to remember an automation I built a year ago and what it does. Not very successful. So put as little detail or as much detail as you want. It's not going to affect how your automation runs. So I was kind of descriptive. I was feeling descriptive that day whenever I typed out what the description is going to be. I'll also put it in the chat in case people just want to copy and paste. So I just said this process will extract data from 5 coffee shop reports and compile all the data to one Excel sheet. In that final Excel sheet, there will be an additional sheet created with a pivot table and pie chart to highlight the total income for the day. So as this description kind of alludes to, we're going to be doing automation today solely with Microsoft Excel, which I know can be really great for both business educators and also if you're just wanting to get started with Studio, because our life is revolving around Microsoft Excel, no matter kind of what your job position is. So I'm going to stay here for a little bit longer, but everybody else can click the create button if you have made it this far into the process. So again, I just clicked on process underneath new project. This pop-up box came up. I named it Build Your First Automation with Studio. And then I decided to be very descriptive today and put that in the description.
And to add to Michaela's point, from an industry standpoint, it's always a good practice just to add at least like, a 2-3 lines about your process, what your process, be concise. Don't be like writing large paragraphs. We'll have documents for that, but just like a 2-liner of what your process is, and try to add maybe like who the developer is, when the date it's being built on, because, in the future, let's say a year from now, you had to do maintenance, you can actually see like, okay, when this process was built, or in order to do any upgrades, that'll be very helpful as well.
Perfect. That's a good tip. Thank you, Priya. Maybe I need to start doing that to my own automations. All right. Does anyone have any questions or anything getting to this point? I'm going to click create. I like to start off pretty slow just so people can kind of get up to speed with where we are. I'm not trying to leave anyone behind in the very beginning. All right, so this is UiPath Studio. There are a lot of tools and a lot of components on this interface. I'm not going to go through them all today. I'm not trying to overwhelm anyone. I am going to kind of briefly go over kind of the big ones or the ones that we're going to be using today. I can share with y'all a video whenever I show y'all our platform, where I do go into literally every single button and every component on Studio. So if you have questions and you want to go through it, that's excellent. But I just want to kind of focus on the ones that we're using today so we can go ahead and get started on building that automation. So what we have right here is we have the designer panel. So this is where we're going to build out our automation. So this is where we're going to drag in the steps or drag in the activities in order to build out the automation step by step. All right. And then over here on the left, I have a cup in the way, sorry. We have our project panel. So this is the one we're actually going to be using first. So with your project panel, it highlights all the different files that have to do with this automation and all the different dependencies. You can also open up the folder location or the file explorer to look at it via, File Explorer. We also have project settings, so you can edit some of the project settings here. So this is just kind of a good tab to know where it is so you can see what files that you have for this project. We also have our activities panel, so we're going to be using this a lot today. So if you're less familiar with UiPath, I always think of activities as steps to the automation. So all it is just little building blocks in order to build out a full process. So for example, we have activities like with our UI automation, like click, type, or the ones that we're going to be using today, which is a lot of Excel activities, use Excel file, append range. So it's just taking those little pieces and putting them together to get a full process automation. And then over here, another one that you're going to be using, not today, but one if you continue on your studio journey, is the properties panel. So the properties panel is a way to change the different, for lack of better words, properties of an activity. So for example, if you were doing a click activity, you could change it to be a double click. You could change it to be a left click, a right click. You can add delays to activities. There's so many different properties, so I'm not going to go into all of them, but it's just a way to specify what you want to do or what you want that activity to do. So I just wanted to go over those 4 main panels really quick, just so you feel a little bit of comfortableness with building out this automation today. And again, I can highlight videos for you to watch if you want to learn everything there is to know about the Studio interface. Alrighty, so the first thing, like I mentioned, that we're going to do is we are going to be doing work with the project panel. So if your project panel is not already showing here on the left, look at the bottom and you can click on the project panel. So look down here and make sure project is selected. And then I am going to send a file to you all that you need to download because we're going to put it in our project folder. So let me find that link really quick. So I am also going to open it. So in this project folder, or in this folder, it's called Daily Reports. It's just 5 Excel files. We want to keep it in that file. So all you're going to do is download this folder. And then it should be a zip file. All right, so I can see the folder right there. And then you can either navigate to your project folder via this file explorer, but if you're not sure kind of where everything is being saved, you can also navigate back to Studio and open up your file explorer on the project tab. So I have that, and then I'm going to move my daily reports folder over. So now it is in my project folder. So you want to make sure that folder with the Excel files is in your project folder. And also we're going to do one more step manually before we get started with actually automating the process. I'm also going to create a new folder just by right-clicking on a blank space, click New Folder, and do Sales Results. Could we have done this with our automation? Absolutely. Was I trying to make our automation a little bit easier for the demo today? Absolutely. So we're doing this step manual, but this step definitely could have been included in our automation. So you know you're good to go whenever you have your build your first automation with Studio. You have the daily reports folder. As you can see, it's just 5 Excel files, and you have an empty sales results folder. All right, and I will pause for anyone having questions or running into any issues.
Just to address one of the questions from Dr. Smith, she asked about the details about the project tab. So the project tab that Michaela was showing is for one project where you can have multiple workflow files or any dependency files or all the packages that she's using. So like you see here, like you can see the dependencies. So by default, it includes the Excel, the email, the UI automation packages, and also the one workflow that she has is the main.xaml. And whenever you feel like adding additional workflows, when you add a new sequence or a flowchart, those files get added into here. So this is one-stop shop to see what are the workflows that are included in your project.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Priya, for expanding on that. I appreciate that. The project file was automatically created whenever I created the new automation. So a lot of, like Priya mentioned, a lot of these files are default. So whenever you create a new automation, you start automatically like with the project.json, the main XAML, and the different project dependencies. So those are created whenever you click create on the automation.
So I don't see that in my folder. I see everything else, like even including main, but I don't see.
Do you mind sharing your screen really quick?
Sure.
It can be good for other people to see what's going on.
Okay, hold on. Let me make sure I'm sharing the right one.
No worries. Whenever I do demonstrations, I'm on 3 computer screens. So
Yeah, that's where I am. So like I'm like, okay, let me see
Yeah.
which screen is okay. I think I got it. All right.
It's crazy how many screens we need nowadays.
Can you see it?
Yeah. So it looks like you're good. You just need to create that new sales results folder. But other than that,
Okay, maybe I didn't create that. Maybe I was, so do I have somewhere
so just
here?
go back to the file explorer that you were looking at.
Okay.
And then right click on the blank white space.
Okay.
And then just type sales results. And then you're good to go.
Okay. I think that's probably what I didn't do. Thank you.
No worries. Thank you for asking. I appreciate that. Alrighty. Anyone else have any questions before we move on?
Yes, Dr. Smith is asking if you could go back over the steps. She has downloaded and unzipped and just missed the part where where to create the folder and how to import it to UiPath.
Yes, no worries. So Dr. Smith, all I did was I made sure that I was looking at the project panel. If you're not seeing the word project up here or not seeing your project panel, just look at the bottom and then you should be able to navigate to the project panel. Once you're there, you're going to click on the folder icon. It's going to be called File Explorer. You'll open that up and then you'll see all the different files for this automation. And then I can also reshare. Oh, I think you have downloaded and unzipped. Perfect. So all you're going to do is you're going to take that from your downloads. You can copy, you can paste, you can drag over, whichever you're more comfortable with bringing that folder into your Build Your First Automation with Studio. So then you'll see that I have the daily reports folder in my project folder. And then I just right clicked on a blank space on my file explorer, clicked new folder and typed in sales results. So it's just navigating to the project panel, opening up File Explorer, looking at the files that you have, moving over daily reports. Perfect. Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Smith. Alrighty, I know I keep promising that we're going to build an automation and we are ready to build the automation. So we're good to go. So we're actually going to navigate away from our project panel now and switch over to our activities panel. And if you are following along in the directions, we are already on page 3. So the first activity that we're going to do for this automation is an Excel process scope. So the activities panel, luckily, because we have so many activities that you can use, which makes it great because it makes automation opportunities endless, but definitely recommend everyone to use the search feature on the activities panel. So all I did was type in Excel process scope. So the way to drag in activities is to click on the Excel process scope, hold with your mouse until you no longer see the do not symbol or the red angry symbol, whichever one you want to call it, and then drag it into your main sequence here, right, and hover over the plus sign, and then let go with your mouse. So then you know you're good to go if you see main sequence and then you see Excel process scope. So again, just make sure that you navigate and have the activities panel now being the one showing. That's the one that we're going to be using for the rest. And then I searched in the search box, Excel process scope, found it right here, dragged and dropped it into my designer panel. The next activity that we're going to be doing is a use Excel file activity. So again, just search in the activities panel and then it should show up. I click and I hold, I drag until I'm within that Excel process scope. So where it says drop activity here. All right, Katie, we definitely need you to be able to have Excel activities. No, you're fine, Katie. Do you mind sharing your screen really quick? Sorry to put you on show and tell, but it makes it easier for us to troubleshoot.
For sure. Can you hear me at all?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, super. All right, I'm so sorry, y'all.
No, because these are problems that maybe they would have in the future. So it's good to know how to solve problems. Trust me. That's something I'm always trying to learn.
All right, so I believe you're looking at my studio screen.
Yeah. Can you close out of manage packages?
Yep. And I can zoom in if you need me to anything.
Yeah, no worries. And then can you click on your project tab? Yeah, so that's very curious that it has only one dependency listed.
Okay.
Just curious really quick, can you go to the home, click home up here? I just want to see which studio you're on. 2020. Okay, that's interesting that it sent you to that one. Okay, click the back arrow. I think for this one, the dependency that you would need would probably just be the UiPath Excel activities.
Okay.
So you can go to manage packages
Okay.
and then click all packages and then search for UiPath.excel.activities.
Ah, cool.
Click on that, and then click install. All right, and then click save. Would she also need the system activities, or do you think the Excel activities will be sufficient for this? Oh, she has
think
system
the
activities. That was a silly question.
Yeah, no worries. So I noticed that 2 days ago, the new release was out, and since then, like a lot of new users, whoever installed the latest this year version, sees this that they lose all the UI activities and any other dependencies. So they are going like straight up, just like building a background process, probably. So that's why you only see the system. So now it's like up to us to add like if you're using UI automations, add the UI automation activities. And in this case, we need the Excel. So that's great. And as long as we are not interacting with any websites, you don't need a UI automation.
Yeah.
So this should be great.
Okay, perfect. So now can you see if you have Excel process scope search?
Yay.
All right, thank you for sharing.
All right. Thank you so much. Yep. I'll
Yeah, of
stop
course.
my share. I appreciate it.
No worries. All righty. Let me go back to my screen. Okay. All right, so then the only thing that you need to do to catch up would be to add a use Excel file activity inside your Excel process scope. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to create a new Excel file with this activity. And I'm going to put something in the chat that you're going to have to copy and paste within the Excel file workbook path. And I'll explain a little bit more about what it is. So what you're going to do is you're going to click on the plus sign for Excel file, and then you're going to open an advanced editor. I'm then going to paste exactly what I shared with you today. So basically what it's doing is in my sales results folder, it's creating a new Excel file. So this is my sales results folder. The file name is going to be sales results, plus it's going to do what the current date is, plus the extension of XLSX. So this automation was created so that you could think about, running this automation every day and getting that report and having the results from compiling all the data and having everything that we're creating today, you could run every single day. So I didn't want to get too much into the nitty-gritty of, figuring out the different text expressions and everything like that. But just so at least you have a little bit of background of why these characters are included here, and definitely something you would learn more about if you kept going through the automation developer training that I'm going to show you later on today. But
Where did you click on the plus? Because
yeah, no worries. So what I did, let me get my annotation back out. I think it helps. I clicked on the plus sign for the use Excel file activity.
So when I click there, it shows, oh, okay. And then open advanced.
Yes,
okay.
Perfect.
Got
So
it.
I'll keep this on the screen for a little bit so to make sure everybody knows where to go. Thank you for asking, Sunil. I appreciate that. So on your use Excel file activity, click the plus sign, open an advanced editor. Just to be easy today, just copy and paste what I put in the chat. But all it is creating a new Excel file that we're going to add a bunch of data to, create a pivot table, and create a pie graph or pie chart, whichever one you prefer, I guess. I'm sure there's data people that are probably cringing. I'm saying the wrong one.
Sorry, Michaela, right? So I'm behind, but I'm watching you, right? So I'll do this later. But when I was like installing my my software, right? So I'm on the part where it says connect to orchestrator, and then there's a choice, a client ID or machine key.
Yeah, do you have an option to click some more options? So
More options. Yes.
yeah. So click on more options, and then it'll say one of the options should be add a license key. Sorry, I keep using options.
There you go. Right.
And
Thank you.
then you'll copy and paste that license key that you got on your email and click continue. So it'll just be more options. Perfect.
And then I'll do automatic, right?
Yeah, and then it'll all install, and then you should be able to see the studio screen. And then I did supply a Word document of the instructions. So if you want to try to catch up to us, you're more than welcome to. So just let me know if you have any questions.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Alrighty. So then what we're going to do is we're actually going to run our automation just so that we can create this file, and it makes automating a lot easier because we're able to reference it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on debug file, and I am going to choose run. It's only one activity, so it should run pretty quickly. And all we're doing is we're creating that sales results Excel file. So throughout this automation, we are going to run a couple times throughout. All right, and then you can tell that it went successfully. If you wanted to go look into your project folder, you should now see in sales results, you should now see this sales results file. You don't have to if you just want to stay on the studio screen, but all we did was create a blank Excel file. We haven't, put any data in there or anything like that. We just created kind of the framework. So now we can edit it and add data to it. But just in case you're curious on what just happened. Since we are dealing with a lot of different Excel files through this, so we created one and then we have those coffee reports, I am going to change to reference as, and honestly, it's good work to reference things and have titles that actually give you information. So I'm going to reference this as sales results. It all has to be one word, so no spaces. Otherwise, it will give you an error. So for the reference as text, I'm typing in sales results. And then I'm going to click on template file. Once I click on template file, it then says that I can choose my file that I want to use as a template. So I will click on the folder icon. I will go into my sales results folder, select that Excel, and click open. So the past couple steps that I just did was underneath debug file, I clicked run. I ran my automation to create that Excel file. I changed the reference as text to sales results. Again, you'll get an error if you don't make it one word, so it has to be one word, no spaces. I then selected template file, and then I clicked on the folder icon and selected that sales results Excel file that I was highlighting to y'all earlier as our template file. So I'll pause here for a good couple seconds to let people do those steps and also give y'all a chance to ask questions. All right, unless I hear any cries of objection, I'm going to move on to the next activity. All righty. So again, just going to make sure that I am on my activities panel. And then the next activities that we're going to do is we're actually going to create headers on that Excel file that we just created. So we're going to do the same activity 4 times. So we're all going to become really good at right cell after this is over. So we're going to do right cell because we want to insert the headers for the top 4 columns. So I searched in the activity panel, right cell, and I'm going to click, hold, and drag, and make sure to drop it within that use Excel file activity or container, because we want to do it to that Excel file that we just created. Once you have the right cell inputted into your use Excel file, for what to write, for the first one, we're going to use the quotations, and we're going to type item within it. And I'll pause here for a second. So I just searched for right cell. I would make sure that I was in my activity panel, dragged and dropped it within use Excel file. For what to write, I put item in parentheses or quotations. I'm sorry, my English is not doing good for a Friday. And then I'll show you in a second for what to do for where to write. So we're going to click on the plus sign and then sales results, and then we'll go to indicate in Excel. So you're going to click on that little plus sign for where to write, hover over the sales results, and then click indicate in Excel. I'll keep that on my screen for a little bit just so people can reference. And also, if you're following along with the directions, we're on page 5 in case you also want to use that as supplementary instructions. So what happened was that Excel file opened up onto my computer, just did on another screen, so I dragged it over. I'm going to select cell A1, and then I'm going to press confirm. So I'm going to make sure that my selector or my mouse is over cell A1, and then I'm going to press confirm. You can also confirm that you're over cell A1 by looking right here because it shows your current selection as sheet 1, cell A1. So once you see this, you can go ahead and press the green confirm button, but I'll wait here for a little bit. Alrighty, let me clear my drawings, get my mouse, and I'm gonna go ahead and press confirm. So you can see that is correct. If for what to write, you have item in the quotations, and then you have sales results dot sheet, and it has the sheet 1 dot cell A1. So indicating in Excel is just a little bit easier if you don't have the coding background to type all that up. It'll do it for you. So we're gonna do that 3 more times because there's gonna be 4 columns in total. So we're gonna just keep adding write cell activities, telling it what to write, and then indicating, you know, B1, then C1, then D1, just so that everyone's aware of what's gonna be coming up. So I'm gonna drag in my next write cell activity. And then the next one is going to be unit price. And then for where to write, I'm going to click the plus sign, sales results indicate in Excel. I'm going to make sure cell B1 is selected, and then I'm going to press confirm. So for people kind of getting the hang of it, the first one is item, the next one is unit price. Then it's going to be items sold, and then total income. Just so people have a quick reference for what we're going to be calling these. And it's going to be for cell A1, B1, C1, D1, because we're just creating those headers on that Excel file. So I'm going to go ahead and slowly move through the process of adding the other 2 that I'm missing. So I'll just talk or annotate what I'm doing, but please feel free to interrupt me if you're having issues or questions. So for what to write, again, I'm going to put in my quotations, put items sold. I'm going to click on the plus sign for where to write. Sales results, indicate in Excel. I'm going to select C1. Then I'm going to press confirm. And one last time, make sure that they're all within this do container. So for example, if you accidentally put it down here, you're just going to have to click hold and drag it all the way back up until it's in this do container for our use Excel file. So that's the one thing we just have to be a little bit careful of when we're doing this, is to make sure they're all within this container. So just one thing I wanted to share with everyone to make sure we're not running into that issue. And then finally, for the last one, it will be total income. So again, for where to write, I'm going to click on the plus sign, sales results, indicate in Excel, select cell D1 and press confirm. So I'll keep these 4 activities on my screen for a little bit. If you can come off mute or type in the chat whenever you've made it this far, I'd really appreciate to see that. So, and let me know if you have questions. Thank you, Sunita. I appreciate that. We got one. All right, awesome, Robert. Okay, y'all are following along great. This is great. I'm happy to see. I'm going to give it about 30 more seconds and then we'll move on to the next activity. And again, for people following along with the directions, we are now on page 8 of 16. So we're halfway there.
So Michaela, just so I'm just watching right now. So that's so what we just did is we just created an Excel and a point to put we connected where to put in the information, right? So we're just creating the base. Is that what we're doing?
Yes, that's exactly what we're doing, Francis. That's a great question. So all we did was we created that blank Excel sheet. Now I'm creating those 4 headers. I'm then going to add the data from those other Excel files, the coffee shops. We're going to put it in sheet 1. And then on sheet 2, we're going to create a pivot table and create that pie chart. Katie, we're going to be sharing with you the exercise Word document afterwards. So that has all the different links that I shared with today. But if there's anything that you need to reference from this, just shoot me a quick email. I'll be happy to share that with you. But on the actual Word document, it has like the zip folder, the software download, all that. Great question. All right. So we got some questions. So next we're going to do is format cells. So to make our headers look a little bit more impressive, we're going to format them. So we're going to search for format cells in our activities panel, click, hold, and drag. And again, make sure it's right below that right cell activity. We're then going to click on the plus sign. Y'all might get tired of hearing me say click on the plus sign. We're going to click on the plus sign, sales results, and we're then going to click indicate in Excel. I'm going to, instead of just selecting one cell, I'm actually going to select 4. So I'm going to highlight A1 through D1. And then once I can see my current selection is A1 to D1, I'm going to go ahead and press confirm. So again, I just searched for format cells, dragged and dropped it right below my right cell activity. For the source, I clicked on the plus sign, sales results, indicate in Excel. I made sure to select cells A1 to D1 and then press confirm. We're then going to set the format. So click on the set format button. You're then going to have a pop-up so you can choose to change the data types for the cells that we selected. You can change the alignment for the cells that we selected. You can make it wrap text, but we're going to go to font. But just wanted to show you a couple other options that you can have for future automations. So you can change the font, you can change the style, you can underline, you can change the size, and then you can change the font color. So all we're going to do here is we're just going to make it bold. And then we'll go to fill, and you can choose whatever color that you want. Every time I do this automation, I change my colors. Let's see if I can find one that I haven't used that I like. I think today is going to be a lavender blush day. So again, I just clicked on that set format button. And then I navigated to font and changed it from regular to bold. And then I picked the fill color of my choosing, and then you can press OK. Okay, I'm going to do that myself. And then we are going to scroll up to the very top of our automation. And the next activity that we're going to have is delete file. So I'm going to drag and drop that right at the very top of my main sequence. And then similar to what we did for our use Excel file activity at the very beginning, I'm gonna click on the plus sign, open in advanced editor, and I'm gonna paste in that same text that we did earlier. So I'm gonna put it again in the chat so people don't have to scroll up through all the questions. So basically, this is what the reason that we're doing this is so that every time we run the automation, we're starting from scratch and we're not just continuously creating new Excel files. Once you have that in your expression editor, go ahead and click save. So again, what I did was I scrolled up all the way to the top and right underneath the main sequence. So right here, I searched for delete file. I dragged and dropped it right here, clicked on the plus sign, open advanced editor, and I typed in exactly what we did for our use Excel file activity. Once you see that's there, you can go ahead and click save. All right, I'm gonna take a pause. Does anyone have any questions or issues that they need to bring up right now? If not, I'll go forward. All right, I'll take your silence as everyone is killing it and press save. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close out of my sales results Excel file. If yours isn't open, don't worry. I just wanted to make sure that's closed on everyone's computer. And then we are going to run the automation again and have our file now have those 4 cells. So we have our headers and also we can see how those cells are formatted and also good just to check to see if anybody's running into any errors. So underneath debug file, I'm going to click run. Oh, good. It chose the right screen. So as you can see, it created that sales results file. It's then putting in those headers, and then it formatted it to be bold and lavender blush as the color of my choosing. So please put in the chat if you were good to go and you saw that happen for yourself as well, or also let us know if you ran into any errors and we can also help to troubleshoot those. Or if I need to go over a step again that you need a little bit more clarification on. Any of the above.
I think so far so good. It looks like.
Awesome.
If you have any questions, please feel free to unmute yourself and share your screen, and we can definitely help you troubleshoot.
Yeah, no, definitely. And questions are good because then if we ever see it happen again, we automatically know the answers. All right. So we are now moving on to page 9, or I apologize, page 10 of 16. So we're going to be there. So if you're waiting and you got everything to run well, and you're referencing the directions, we're going to be on page 10. And we're going to go back to the bottom of our automation. So you can go ahead and scroll down to get yourself ready for the next steps. I'll give everybody 1 more minute to ask any questions if they're running into any issues. And if I don't hear anything, I'll keep moving forward.
I love how the group is more interactive and they ask questions, which is what makes this session more interesting. And we want to keep that going. So
Yes.
keep the questions coming, guys, because there's no such thing as silly question. And this is the best possible platform to ask this.
Oh, definitely. And like I said, it's great to learn. So if you ever run into the problem in the future, then you know exactly how to answer it because you saw somebody else run into it and you're like, oh, I know how to fix it already. So that's always a good skill to have. Well, I will continue pushing forward for the group. But if you end up needing to ask anything, no worries. We'll have more time for questions as we continue moving forward. So we have our Excel file all set up. We got our headers. Our headers look good. They're bold. They have the fill color. So now what we're going to do is we're going to loop through those 5 Excel files and add all that data to that new Excel file that we just created. So just so you're kind of aware of what the next activities kind of really represent in this process. So what I searched into the activity panel is for each file and folder. I'm going to click and I'm going to drag it below my format cells activity, and I'm going to drop it right there. So this activity, as the name kind of denotes, is it's going to loop through every file in that folder. So then we'll be able to grab that data and put it to our new Excel file. So the first thing that I'm going to have to edit for this activity or change the properties is I'm going to click on the folder icon. So we're not clicking on the plus sign this time. We're going to click on the folder icon. And I'm going to navigate to my project folder. So mine, for some reason, took me a step back. So I'm just going to click on Build Your First Automation with Studio, because that's the folder that I'm currently working on. And then I'm going to select the Daily Reports folder and click Select Folder. So let me make this a little bit more smaller. So all I did was I added that for each file and folder activity. And then I clicked on the file icon right here. I then made sure to navigate to the project folder that I'm currently working in. I'm going to select this Daily Reports folder and click Select Folder. Sorry, reports is a hard word for me today. And then you'll know that you're good to go once you see the file path there. So now we have the robot looping through all the files, but we have to tell the robot kind of what to do with those files. So what we're going to do is we're going to drop in another use Excel file activity. Because we have one for the new one we created, but we also need to tell the robot how to use our Excel files of our coffee shop reports. So I'm going to drop that in our for each file and folder container here. So I just searched for use Excel file in our activities panel, and I'm now within this for each file and folder. So very similar to what we did previously. So we're gonna click on the plus sign. We're gonna click current file, and then we're gonna select fold name. And I'll go through this 2 times. So I'm just gonna go through everything you need to do, and then I'll show it all again. So plus sign, current file, fold name. I'm going to change the reference text. Again, we got a lot of Excel files kind of being thrown around. So I want to make sure I know which ones I'm referencing later on the automation. So I'm going to call this one source Excel. Again, when you change the reference name, no spaces. So I just put it as one word together. I'm then going to select the template file box like we did earlier. And then I'm going to click on the folder icon. Open up the daily reports folder, and you can choose any of the coffee shop files there. We're just using it as our template file, so it's easier to reference certain cells because the headers are there. And then I'm going to click open. So I know that was kind of a lot all at once, so let me go through it one more time. So for my use Excel file activity, I clicked the plus sign. I clicked current file. I then went to full name. I changed my reference as source Excel. I clicked the plus sign or the checkbox, sorry, the checkbox for template file, and then clicked the folder icon. I navigated to daily reports, chose coffee shop Excel or coffee shop 1, and then clicked open. So a lot of properties that have to be updated for this one. So you just have to make sure that you reference the Excel file. So it's going to be the current file because we're looping through all 5 of those Excel files. So you do that by clicking on the plus sign. I referenced it as source Excel. I made sure to check mark the template file. And then I clicked on the folder icon to reference Coffee Shop 1 Excel. So lots of updates to this one. I'm going to take a pause, and then if anyone wants me to go through all the updates I made again, I'd be happy to do so. If anyone wants to reference a Word document, we are now on page 11. Not scroll while I have annotations. Yes, Dr. Smith, no problem. So just ignore this. Let me get rid of my annotations. Okay. So what you're going to do for each file and folder, so you'll just search for it in the activities panel, but it sounds like you already have that good to go, and you'll drag it right below your format cells. And then what you're going to do for each file and folder is you're going to click on the folder icon shown right here. So it has the for each current file and folder path. Click on the folder icon. And then what you're going to do is you're going to click on your automation project folder. So it should, if you called it build your first automation with Studio, that's probably what yours is going to be called. It's going to be the same name as what's here on top of your Studio screen. And then once you do that, you're then going to select the daily reports folder and press select folder. No problem. So once you select that folder, that's the only thing that you need to do for this activity. And then you'll drag in that use Excel file activity within it. So just search for use Excel file in the activities panel, drag and drop. You'll then click on the plus sign, current file, and then you'll do the full name. Change the reference text as source Excel. Make sure no spaces. Click on template file. Oh, I already did that earlier, sorry. You'll change the text as source Excel. And then you're going to click on template file. Click on the folder icon. Go to daily reports, select Coffee Shop 1 and press open. So the purpose of the template file is it just makes it easier to reference. I'll highlight that in just 1 second. It'll be clear whenever you see our next activity. So I'll show you kind of what the purpose of that is. And I totally understand your pain with the battery dying.
Michaela, do we have to do that twice, or were you just repeating?
Oh no, it's just repeating. Sorry, I should have.
Okay, so I accidentally did it twice. What do I have to do?
Yeah, so if you have an activity in, again, don't do this. I'm just showing you how to delete an activity. So if you have an activity in that you no longer want to use, you're just going to right click on that activity and then just go to delete.
Okay.
You can also make sure the activity is selected by the selector box around it and use delete on your keyboard.
Okay, so we only need one under the use file. Okay.
Yes, so sorry about that.
No. So part of it is that I had a call in between. I went to answer and I thought you were repeating, but then when I got back, I was like, okay, was she repeating? Sorry.
No worries. Okay, so we now have our use Excel file, so we're going to append the range. So you're going to search for append range in your activities, and you're going to drop it within this use Excel file container. So we have to tell the robot what to append, and we have to tell it where to append. So first, what we're going to do is we're going to tell it what to take. So we're going to click on the plus sign, we're going to click Source Excel, and then we're going to click Sheet 1. And then for appending after range, we're going to click the plus sign, Sales Results, Sheet 1. And then you want to make sure that you check the box Exclude Headers. And I can kind of explain a little bit more about the template file now. So the template file just allows us to click on these easy options of like the sheet 1, or if you have headers, for example, you'll be able to use those headers as kind of a selection. If we didn't have that, then we would have to be like going into Open Advanced Editor and typing it all in manually. So I like to use template files because it's a lot easier just to go through the different windows. So if yours doesn't show sales results, do you see 2 Excel icons showing here, Dr. Smith? Yes. So what probably happened is that maybe you did not change what it was referenced as. So if you don't mind scrolling all the way up to the top for your first use Excel file, right below delete file, what does it say there for reference as? Okay, it's at Excel. So instead of doing sales results for everything that we're doing from now on, you can just do Excel. So if this says Excel right here, for example, yours will say Excel.sheet, sheet 1. So just put it on a little post-it next to your little notepad. Anytime she says reference to sales sheets, do Excel. Perfect. One time when I was working on this automation, I did the same, and that's when I realized that the reference as text is actually very important, because I was losing my mind between Excel and Excel 2, and I had no idea what I was referencing anymore. So definitely very important to do, especially when doing multiple Excel files. So just a quick review of what we just did. We added in the append range activity within use Excel file. You click on the plus sign, source Excel, sheet 1. Click on the plus sign, sales results, sheet 1, and then make sure to click this checkbox of exclude headers. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to run our automation again. Make sure that you do not have any Excel files open, so make sure to close out of any Excel files, and then you're going to click on the debug file drop down and click run. So I'm going to go ahead and do it while people work through append range and run the automation on their computers as well. If your automation does not run, this is a really great time for you to ask any questions, because it's not going to go away magically as much as we would all like. And we want to make sure everyone has working automations at the end of this as much as possible. All right, I saw Dr. Smith put something in the chat. Oh, I had an error. 1 second. All right. Priya, can you look at Dr. Smith's really quick while I look at my own?
Sure. Dr. Smith, would you like to share your screen?
Yeah, let me stop sharing.
Yeah, and we gotta get this sharing before her battery dies.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Oh. If you look at the very bottom, like, where the mute and the video options are, you should see this green share button on Zoom. Sometimes if you click in the middle, like, it'll show up because, yeah, it's usually gone like when your screen goes into, like, I don't know, like saving mode, this buttons just vanish. So if you just like click in the center or just click on Michaela, you'll be able to see. Or just hover over the corners, maybe at the bottom. Sometimes it's on the top. Depends on like where you put it, I guess. Okay, just a
Oh,
screenshot.
you can look
Okay.
at the screenshot.
Okay, it has an error with the right cell and the format cells. Okay. So that has to do with your Excel. I think like were you able to change because you're still referencing the sales results under the format cells? Since you already have the Excel as your reference, maybe under the format cells, you would have to change this as Excel. Or the easiest one would be to just like scroll up and just go to the area where it says the scope is, where the Excel scope is, and there you would just change the reference instead of Excel, you would put as sales results. So that way you can still follow along any future steps as well. So if you just go to the very top, the Excel process scope, like right underneath, you would have your first use Excel. And there you could just change the reference that you have. The use Excel file. There's an error in the where to write in the right cells. So the where to write part is where like you'll have to like select that sales result. So probably I wonder if you can unmute yourself. Maybe like we can just have a quick conversation. I know like you had trouble sharing, Dr. Smith. Would you be able to talk? Okay, so in the meantime, I'm just gonna go over like what we did. Okay, so under the very first Excel scope, you would have the use Excel file. So as soon as you assign the Excel file with the message that Michaela gave, you would paste it under the Excel file, and then the reference would be the sales results. And once you have the
Oh,
sales results,
I'm sorry, can you hear me now?
yes,
Okay,
I can
perfect.
hear you now.
I found the speaker. Okay. So I'm at the right cell, what
Okay.
to write item, but I believe there's something in the where to write, and mine is blank.
Okay, so right before we go to the right cell, we're gonna take a step back. So you're just gonna scroll up slightly
Yes.
and you would see the use Excel file, right?
Yes.
So under that, what do you see the reference as?
I changed it to sales results so I can follow along and
Awesome,
part works. Mm-hmm.
fantastic. Okay, so under the right cell, now we can go. You can click the plus button under the where to write,
Okay.
and then you should be able to see that sales results now.
Yes.
Okay, and then like you would say indicate on Excel.
Yes. Perfect. Okay.
Okay, and then you would choose the A1 cell
Okay.
and click on confirm.
Okay, that might not be happening. Let me see. Plus sales results indicated in Excel. Cell pops up.
The Excel comes up. Okay,
Oh, I see.
and then you
Yes.
confirm on the top. Okay,
Oh, that is so easy. Okay. All right. And now format cells.
yes. So for the format cells, like we're gonna do very similar thing. Okay, so with this one, I think she just did the font and the filling color, right? So all we're gonna do is we're gonna do the same thing for the source. You're gonna select the sales results,
Yes.
and then you're gonna indicate on screen. And when you go to the screen, you're gonna highlight the first row, like all the way from A1 to D1, the 4 columns that we are just building.
Okay.
And once you select that, you just confirm. So
Oh,
now you have your source, right?
hmm. Okay, it says error compiler. Let me try
Oh.
to. Okay, so click the plus, sales results, indicate in Excel is what I select.
Yes.
I have the first row highlighted, columns A, B, C, and D, and then
You
said
click confirm on the top.
yes.
Okay. And then you're going to click on set format. Under the format cells, you see the second property, which is the set format.
Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Now you click on that, you'll see this little pop-up that comes up with 4 options.
Oh, perfect. Thank you. I'll just pick some things for.
Yeah. You can just like pick any formatting that you'd like. I think Michaela just did the font to be bold. And for the filling color, you can just make it any color that you'd like.
Okay, perfect. That worked. The only thing I have an error message next to source, and I'm unsure why. Maybe because it's open. Let me close it. Oh. It says compiler error encountered, processing expression, sales results. Sheet 1.
Oh, that's probably because like you just changed the reference, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes what happens is like you would have just changed the reference and it's still trying to access in the future activities. So maybe just save your workflow for now. Just click on save at the top ribbon.
Okay, perfect. It works.
Yeah, sometimes it just needs a tap on the head. That's it.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you both.
Thank you, Priya.
Sure.
All right. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to continue forward. So we only have 3 more activities that we need to do. So we're almost there and we'll get to see everything all together. So right underneath append range, I'm going to search in my activities for auto fit range. And then I'm going to drag and drop that right below my append range. And this is not really necessary for the automation. It's just going to make your Excel sheet look better and make sure the columns are the right size for the data that we're putting into that Excel file. So this is more just to make things a little bit nicer and a little bit looking better, but for actually, you know, moving and doing anything with the data, that's not really what this activity is doing. So we have to tell it which cells to do. So I'm going to click on the plus sign. I'm then going to go to my sales results Excel, and then I'm going to click on indicate in Excel. And my Excel file is going to come up onto sheet 1, and I'm just going to select all the cells for my data. So this is going to end up being A1 to D51.
So what file was that? Mine didn't fit. I don't have, mine is a blank sheet.
Okay, so if yours is blank, that means, did I go ahead? No.
The sales result 2025, that one is blank for me.
Yeah, so it should only have sheet 1. Sorry, I was referencing another file. So it should have these 4 columns with the rows of data. So that means there's probably something going on with your append range activity. So
Okay.
let me stop sharing my screen really quick. Let me just click confirm so that it goes away. And then if you don't mind sharing yours.
Okay, I'll share.
Thank you.
Yes, so this is where I am.
Yes, perfect.
And
then
then
plus
click on
sign,
the plus sign, sales results,
sheet
indicate
1.
in
Yeah,
Excel.
indicate in Excel, sorry, yes, yep.
Indicate in Excel. And I'm gonna move the file. This is what I get.
All right, can you just click cancel or confirm or close or whatever, and then scroll up to your append range. So what's happening is no data is being added to that Excel file.
Okay.
But your append range activity looks good. So let's keep scrolling up for your keep scrolling up until maybe we see something. Current file full name, references source Excel, coffee shop Excel. That all looks good. All right, let's look at your for each file and folder. And then,
Should I try to run again?
yeah, we can try running it again. First, delete that activity that you just added because you don't have everything selected. It's gonna give you an
Yeah,
error.
this one, right?
Yeah,
So
mhm.
right click, delete.
And then run the file and let's see what happens.
Just run totally, like, do I have to click on something?
Nope, just click run and we'll see if it fixes itself out or if there's still something going on.
Okay, should I open the file to see whether anything?
Yeah, but it looked like it wasn't even looping.
Yeah,
It
it's
was
still
just,
like that.
yeah, can you scroll up some more above your for each file and folder?
So this is.
So this is starting from the very top. So we created the file, right? So
File.
it's definitely doing that. And then
Okay.
for each current file, can we double check? It looks like you have the correct folder based on what text I can see, but just in case, can you click on the folder icon, click on that, open it, and then go to daily reports, and then click select, is it because you have a folder and, oh, there's no Excel files in there.
Okay, hold on.
That's the problem.
Okay, so it is this day.
Yeah, so your folder is empty for some reason. So can you go to your downloads? I'm guessing that's where the daily report
Yeah,
folder is.
okay. So
you can keep
like
this open.
both okay, so what I'll do is, because I thought I copied the don't have. Okay, I'll do the extract on the downloads. Okay, so I do have 4 files, and what I'll do
So we need
is
to get those in your project folder.
yeah, I'll get it into my project folder. I'm just doing it on the other.
You're fine.
screen,
You don't need to
so-
show the whole recorded Zoom, all the files on your computer. I understand. Sometimes with showing all these different automations, I'm like, oh, and there's all my emails.
Okay, now it's the files are there.
Okay,
So let me just run again, and maybe that's obviously that's the reason. Yeah, there it is.
There we go. All right, so just let it roll, and then
okay, now I need to add the last one. Okay, I'll stop sharing and add.
Perfect. Good question. Alrighty, so all I did was add that auto fit range right below the append range, and I just selected the cells that currently have data in it by clicking on the plus sign, sales results, and indicate in Excel, and it was these cells. So I can throw that in the chat really quick. Okay. Alrighty. So the next activity that we're going to be adding is we're going to add in the create pivot table. But before I search for those activities, so whenever I was actually documenting out this process, it was something I had to learn the hard way. So when I first did it, I actually put it right below auto fit range. But whenever you do that, it creates a pivot table every single time you run it goes through another Excel file. You might have to see it to kind of understand. But what I want to do is I want to make sure that it creates the pivot table after it's extracted all the data. And the only reason is it just makes my automation more efficient instead of creating a pivot table after every time it extracts the data from an Excel file. So it was taking data from coffee shop 1, putting it in the thing, and then also making a pivot table, extracting the data. So I wanted to just wait till the very end and create the pivot table once all the data is in there. So I want to make sure that I'm adding this activity outside the for each file and folder. We've added a lot of activities to this automation. We're on our last 2, so it can get kind of confusing on where to add it. So the way that I found I'm the most successful is I scroll up to for each file and folder, and you'll see these little double arrows. So the purpose of these double arrows is either to make the activity maximize or minimize, basically. So I'm going to collapse it. And then once I collapse the for each file and folder, I'm then going to search on activities and look for create pivot table. And then I'm going to drag and drop it with underneath my for each file and folder. So then I know it's going to wait till it's got all the data on my sales results Excel, and then it's going to create the pivot table. So that was just the way that I found was most easy for me, I guess, for lack of better words. So I just navigated to the for each file and folder. So I just had to scroll up a little bit. And then I took the double arrows and I collapsed it. And then I added the create pivot table underneath. As a person that started with Studio X, this is when I really missed the numbers in front of the activities, because then I knew exactly where I was. So a learning curve for me with Studio. And if you're following along, we are now on page 15 of 16. So we're going to create our pivot table, and then we're going to insert our chart, and then we can look at how great our new Excel sheets look. All right, so for this one, it's going to be a lot of properties that we're going to update. I'm going to go through it slowly once, and then as I've been doing previously, I'm going to go through it slowly again. So first, we have to tell it what data is our source data. So similarly to what we just did with auto fit range, I'm going to click on the plus sign in sales results, and I'm going to click on indicate in Excel. And I'm going to make sure that that data from A1 to D51 is selected, and I'm going to press confirm. So just like we just did for auto fit range, plus sign, sales results, indicate in Excel, and select that data. So that's all the data that's going to be going into our pivot tables. We're going to call our pivot table with the double quotations, sales by store, all one word, no spaces. For the destination, we're going to click on the plus sign. We're going to click on sales results, and then we're going to click on indicate in Excel again. I'm just going to manually do this step. I'm going to add in a sheet 2. So then I can select cell A1 for sheet 2 and press confirm. I'm going to take a pause there because I know I just did 3 steps pretty quickly. So if you're here with me, go ahead and press confirm. But just to review the last 3 for the source, I clicked on sales results, indicated in Excel, and made sure to select those cells A1 to D51. For my new table name in the double quotations, I put sales by store, no spaces. And then for my destination, again, very similarly, plus sales results, clicked indicate in Excel. I just manually clicked the plus sign for sheet 2, added a new sheet, make sure my selector or my cell indicator, not sure what the Excel lingo is here, is around A1, and clicked confirm. All right, and then I'm going to add pivot table fields. So I'm going to click on this button that says add pivot table fields. For the fields, I'm going to click on the plus sign, range, and then I'm going to select item. So our item is going to be a row. And then I'm going to add another pivot table field. And I'm going to do the total income for the range. And I'm going to change the is a row, and I'm going to do it's a value and it's a sum. So I just clicked on this add pivot table field. I did it twice. So I changed the field for range to being an item for is a row. And then for the second one, I did for the range with the plus sign, I did total income. I changed ISA to be a value and the function to be a sum. If you do not have the column names, do you have, did you do the template file, Dr. Smith? Okay, perfect. I forgot we're back on the share. Yes, please. All right. So can you click on the plus sign just so I can see really quick range? So you have item, column B, column C, column D. Then can you, yeah, let's see your Excel file. Okay, so can you go to your right cell activities? So that's going to be at the very top. Okay, so you only have one right cell activity, it looks like. So we actually did 3 others. So what you can do right now, if you don't, yeah, so you're going to add in 3 more right cells. So yeah, you can copy and paste them. I can put in the chat again what they're going to be. Let me just scroll up to mine again. So we're going to have unit price as the second one. So change that item text to unit price. And then you're going to click on the plus sign and, oh, you already got B1. You're already on it. Sorry, I missed it. Sorry. After that, you'll do item sold for the third one instead of item. And then for the fourth one, it's going to be total income for cell D1. All right. And then, what you need to do is scroll all the way down to, yeah, you can use spaces if you'd like. Scroll all the way down to the create pivot table activity. And if you could just right click on the create pivot table activity. And then if you could just disable it for right now, we're going to rerun it. So we'll add those column names in, and then you should be able to reference them. So make sure your Excel files are closed and then run it. Yep. And then just let it go. All right, and then for the comment out, yeah, we need to enable activity perfect, and then go to the last pivot table field, click the plus sign, range, and then there you go, total income. You want to do total income. Perfect. Change row to value. And then do function as sum. Perfect. Alrighty, so we're just going to have one more activity that we're going to be doing, and that is to insert a chart, and we're going to do it right below our pivot table. So go to insert chart, drag and drop it right below our create pivot table activity. This one has a couple or not as many properties that we need to change as the pivot table did. So we're going to change our chart category to a pie, but while we're here, you can see with UiPath, you can do area, bar, column, line, basically, you know, opportunities are endless here, but for today, we're going to do a pie chart. And then for the data range and insert into sheet, we're going to click plus sign, sales results, and we're just going to select sheet 2, and then insert into sheet, we're going to do plus sign, sales results, sheet 2. I'm going to leave this on my screen for another minute or 2, but if you're already ready to go ahead and make sure all your Excel files are closed, and then run your automation, and that is pat yourself on the back, do a clap, and that's the automation for today. So I'm going to wait a second, then I'll run mine, and then of course we'll help to troubleshoot anyone that's not able to get to the finish line. So again, all I did was do insert chart, change my chart category to pie. For data range, I went to sales results sheet 2. For insert into sheet, I went to sales results sheet 2. So I'm going to go ahead and run mine. And please put in the chat if you were able to successfully do it for you.
You can even paste a picture of your screenshot of your pie chart.
Oh, that's a great idea, Freya. Yes, I would love to see it. That's a great idea. All right, once mine stops running, we can take other people's questions. Yay, Sanelia, I'm so happy to see it. Yeah, so if Dr. Smith for sheet 2, if it doesn't show for you, so for the create pivot table destination, do you mind sharing your screen actually? Let's just go straight to the source so then we can probably quickly help you to troubleshoot. Alrighty. So you had sheet 2 up there. So for data range, can you click the plus sign then so we can see what you just saw? Sales results. Oh, I'm not sure, but what we could do instead is you could click on the indicate in Excel. I just kind of want to see. Click the plus sign. And then just click confirm. And then you close that out, I guess. Maybe click save. That's not still there. That's so interesting. I guess we could just manually put it in with the advanced editor and then see if it would run. Do you have any other suggestions, Priya? But that's kind of what I would just do, would just manually type it in.
Yeah, I think she got it now.
Oh,
Like
never
once you
mind.
hit that confirm. Yeah,
Sorry, Dr. Smith. I
you
was
guys did it.
worried about troubleshooting and not looking at your screen.
Yeah, you would do the same thing for sheet 2 again.
Yeah. Cool. All right. And then now you can close your Excels and try to run it. All right. Is anyone else having any issues? I'm happy to see Carolyn and Snelia. I'm so happy to see your pie charts. So that's awesome.
Michaela, I
Yes.
had following the steps, but I had a quick question. How to switch from Studio X to Studio? Because I've been using Studio X the whole time.
Oh, really?
Let me share my
That's interesting. Yeah, no, you share your screen and then we can walk you through it. Sorry, let me stop my share. I might have messed it up. So click share again. I apologize. I love it. Yeah, so what you're going to want to do is you're going to click on settings.
So yeah, let me see.
Oh yeah, so we'll just have to go back to the screen once this opens. No big deal. So go to home. It's at the very top left corner. And then click on settings, license and profile, change profile. You can exit out of that, yeah. Change profile, and that's how you switch between Studio and Studio X. So that's good for everybody to know. So honestly, props to you for following along because I'm sure there were some differences. So you did a great job.
Yeah, I was wondering at first, and then actually all the steps work, except Studio X was just simpler.
Yeah, no, okay. I started my training with Studio X and I love it a lot, but I'm trying to be a little bit better with my studio skills. So I have gone through the training before, but I do love me some Studio X. It's awesome. So I get your love.
I'm glad it worked. It's good for me to know because the students might have the same problem.
Yeah. So yeah, no, that's how it goes. So it looks like it's running well. Oh my gosh. Well, that was a good question. And if anyone's curious, yes, this automation works on Studio X too. So you definitely just clarified that for everybody if they also have a love for Studio X like we do.
Thank you, Michaela.
Yeah, no worries. Does anyone else have any other questions?
Yeah, Sunila mentioned that she feels accomplished. I'm telling you, like, just cherish this moment because this is what is going to be driving you to keep learning more. And I'll tell you, this will be like, feeding you to keep coming back for more and more exercises because the more you do it, the more you keep accomplishing.
Definitely, Priya. I'm looking forward to that learning.
Awesome.
So I think we are good with the questions for right now. So we have about 20 minutes left, which I wanted to go as slow as we needed to through that automation because I know me talking isn't going to want you to keep learning like Priya just mentioned. So your automation run is what's really going to drive you forward. So I wanted to make sure we got as many people running as possible. So still feel free to put questions in the chat. Also, if you want some more one-on-one attention and just really want to get this automation running, I can put my email in the chat and feel free to reach out, and we'd be happy to troubleshoot one-on-one as well. For the last thank you, Katie. For the last 15 minutes in, what I'm going to do, I've been showing this on all the training sessions so far. So if this is your third training session and you're like, she keeps showing me this website, I apologize. There's just so many great resources on it. And the more I can get educators comfortable with it and using it to its utmost capabilities, I promise, hopefully, at least promise, that it'll make your teaching job hopefully a little bit easier, because I know y'all are very busy people. So this is our UiPath Academic Alliance partner portal. So basically it's a lot of words to say this is our educator platform for resources. So feel free to go back to check out previous recordings where I went through some of the first tabs, like getting started, digital credentials. This is also where we have that software download link. So I really went into depth there. I will start with the UiPath software just because I did promise you all a studio interface tour that goes through everything. So on our software tab, we have 3 videos with another one coming soon for Studio Web. So we go through all the different aspects or the differences between the Studio family. And then also I have a 6.5-minute video where I go through every aspect of the Studio interface. So if you want to kind of learn more, feel free to check that out. And there's a link to download the software, which was the same link that I shared you at the very beginning. If you have not been able to get access to this website yet, all you're going to need to do is to go to this link, and then you're going to click first time here. If you run into any issues, I might just need to enable your access in the back end, just because we want to make sure only educators are getting access to this platform. So it's not a big thing. I just have to click a button and then you should be able to create an account. But for some of you, you're already enabled by being in the Academic Alliance. So happy to do it for you. The next page that I wanted to show y'all is the courseware and exercises. So I'm going to start on the courseware homepage because I think it can be super beneficial whenever you're looking at tons of content, you're seeing different roles or personas, to kind of use this as your starting point. So it goes over what the central products are for the different learning plans, what the maximum duration is, and then if there is a certification associated with that learning plan. I like to point out that I put maximum duration, so we're not, forcing anyone to go through entire learning plans if you just don't have the time or bandwidth to do that in your course. But just in case you do want to get to completion and get your students that certification level, kind of what the time expectations are. So today I'm just going to spend time on the Automation Developer Associate page. So this page is the one that's really dedicated to Studio. So if you use Studio today and you want your students to use Studio, this is the page that I recommend for you. On each of our learning persona pages, we have the audience. So like for this one, it says this learning plan starts at beginner, progresses towards intermediate. It also has duration, the products included, so you can make sure that you have everything technically set up for whenever you teach your students. It has a couple learning outcomes that you can probably steal to put on syllabuses. If you need to do that, feel free to take our learning outcomes. And then we have the content broken up into instructor-led training and self-led training. So if those words aren't as familiar, instructor-led training is just if you want to teach it live, like with PowerPoints and everything along those lines. Or if you want to do the self-led training, so you assign your students our learning plans on our LMS. Our LMS is called Academy, so if you've heard of that before. So those learning plans are very similar to Coursera. They have text, they have videos, they have the exercises, and they have quizzes. So some educators just like to have their students go through the learning plans kind of as a homework. Some like to teach live, some like to do a mixture of both. The same team here at UiPath creates both content, so it's a pretty close match for that. So you'll see here on our instructor-led training, we have the trainer's guide. So all you have to do is click download and then it will automatically download. In the trainer's guide, you'll see stuff like technical prerequisites. You'll see how long certain content is to teach. So we got things like overview, different ways that we recommend you teach it. If you do want to teach it live with the PowerPoints, you can grab some more learning outcomes from here as well. recommended duration that you'll spend or average duration you'll spend teaching. So this can be really great if you do want to teach it live, or maybe you just want to teach 1 or 2 of these live because that's really what you want your students to learn. You really want them to learn, you know, Excel automation, or you really want them to learn email and PDF, things like that. So this has a lot of different information that you can use in that trainer's guide. And then we do have the PowerPoint presentation folders. And again, you don't have to show every slide on here. Pick and choose the ones that work best for you. I think there's one slide in there where they're like, oh, make sure to tell your audience where the bathrooms are. I'm sure your students at your university might know that, but if you want to include that in their UiPath training, feel free to go ahead. But it has different, and again, you don't need to include this, but this is just if you were to teach it in this way. But let me scroll down to the actual presentation slide. So as you can see here, it has different instructor notes. So you're able to kind of see what that person that created this slide, it's not for all of them, but for most of them, you'll see those instructor notes. We also have the studio project files and the capstone project. So then for the self-led training, the automation developer associate is actually broken up into 2. So I also, if, you know, an educator only has, you know, 15 hours to teach, for example, sometimes I'll recommend that they just teach the automation explorer learning plan if they really want to use Studio. Then let their students know, hey, you're already 15 hours into this training. If you want to go ahead and get that automation developer associate certification, these are the links to the learning plan. Let me know when you're ready for the certification, and then we can help them to get 100% off on their certification through our student recognition initiative. So it's always great, you know, if you're only able to get to a certain point, and maybe it's, you know, 3 of your students that go ahead and get certified, but at least they're able to do that and kind of continue on their learning journey, and you already kind of knock some of the courses off for them. So maybe it's a little less overwhelming for them to go all the way to the end of automation developer associate. If you want your students to go all the way, I'm not telling you not to do that, but just giving you some options in case time is a restriction. So this has the links to the different Academy learning plans. So all you have to do is copy and paste them. You would also share these links with your students. They would create an account on Academy, and then they would go through the different courses. At the end of the learning plan, there is an assessment. It's not to the level of certification, but if they finish that assessment, they will then get the digital credential saying they completed that Academy learning plan. If you do end up teaching it live, you can have your students just go ahead and skip to the assessment after you're done teaching that portion of the course live, and they can take the assessment and get the digital credential that way too. So we wanted to make sure that was an option if we did have educators that wanted to teach the course live in its entirety. Last thing, and then I'll leave the last 5 minutes for question. As I mentioned, this one does have a certification, and we've recently in the past couple of months launched our student recognition initiative. And with the student recognition initiative, we are now helping for students to take the certification at no cost. So we have a whole page dedicated to our student recognition initiative. And basically what it does is it makes sure the students are part of your courses, and it makes sure that they went through the training, and it makes sure that you are in good standing with the Academic Alliance. Once we've confirmed those 3 things, then the student is able to prove their training or prove their skills with just a little short assessment. It's about 20 questions. Depending on what grade they get is depending on what they receive. So we have a whole page dedicated to this. If you're interested in getting your students to certifications, or your students are interested in it, highly recommend kind of just looking this over and just kind of following the process step by step. We also have frequently asked questions down below. One question I got in a previous training session is, can educators get free certifications? The answer is yes. So educators can also go ahead and do this as well. So that's just kind of a new initiative that we recently released that I like to mention in case you do have students wanting to go certification.
Hey,
The last page.
sorry, it's just a question from Katie here. I think you have that on the screen for the certification, but I think her question is related to, do you have recommendations on how to attach points to students completing tutorials?
Pass, etc. Yeah, so for that one, it's really hard because it's kind of like a pass-fail situation. Like you either get the learning plan and you get that digital credential, or you don't. Yeah, exactly. So you could, and that's one good thing about the certification is they can't just click, click, click. You get one chance, and it's through Pearson View. So they're, watching their screens, doing everything like that with the Pearson View program. So that's where that certification can be really beneficial. What you could also do is, and we can also help suggest some questions. You could do, assessment yourself, how you typically do, and just ask them some questions and be like, hey, did you really go through this? Or did you, copy answers down and put them somewhere? So that's one recommendation. Do you have any ideas, Priya?
Yeah, so I think we did it early on for like a college workshop. One thing that I did was to have like a quick quiz. I think I used Kahoot or like any of the online platforms. I think you can use any platform just to ask like a quick quiz, just to know that like if you're doing, let's say, just data manipulation, just ask like 5 questions on like how did they use like the string variables or like how they use functions, so that way you can assess on that specific topic before moving on to the next chapter. Because that way you know whether they are just like doing the click, click, click. I know that's possible. But even with Academy, they do have like exercises that they give, like practical exercises. Maybe you can ask them to come back and show me like the Acme results. Or in this case, like what we did was to show the pie chart, right? So that way, like to get to the pie chart, they can just get it like immediately. You'll have to follow the steps along. So you can get creative on ways and just say like, okay, which way you want to go. Either do like a quiz or give them like a quick test and see, or give them like a quick exercise like unicorn or just like any kind of RPA challenge. So whichever works best for you.
Yeah, that's a good idea, especially Kahoot, because then they don't have time for Googling. You got 30 seconds here on the clock. Okay. And then for Dr. Smith, your question, do you tend to have educators taking advantage of the Automation Business Analyst Associate? Sorry, I said that very fast. But basically what Dr. Smith is referencing, just for everybody, is this Business Analyst Associate. So this one does have a certification attached to it. It's only about 15 to 20 hours of content that we recommend for the certification. So it's definitely our lowest level of entry for all of our certifications. So this recently just launched, like within the past 6 months or something like that. So we don't have a ton of educators that have done so far, but if I was trying to get a quick UiPath certification, definitely would recommend that one. And the one thing with the BA Associate, it's really great content because it's kind of focusing more on, process discovery, documentation, calculating like the return on investment and just going through the whole methodology. So it's a little bit more theoretical and less about building automations, but it gives you a lot of kind of background information. So when you are going through and building those automations, you feel like you understand the purpose, you understand then or see how important documentation is. I'm sure Priya can speak to this way better than me by being in industry. But yeah, no, I think it's definitely great content to go through and get that certification.
I absolutely second that. Because
Okay.
being a BA is a great entry level point. But as an educator, I think like to do deep dive, I would definitely suggest being an automation developer role, because that would give you like more intel onto like using the real life like string functions. Because when it comes to business analysts, like they kind of stop with the process, like understanding the requirements, like what the process does. But the business analyst most likely won't get to open up studio and build the automation like you did. So because the studio has the best part of the action, which is where the developers do. So the satisfaction of having that output come out, I think you would get that more with the developer course plans.
No, definitely. And then I think some people, we're just going to answer questions to kind of end the last 3 minutes. I am going to put the feedback survey in the chat again. So if I catch a couple of people before leaving, this was kind of our first time kind of bringing back enablement sessions for our educators after not doing so for a year. So we would love to continue on with these sessions. There are certain automations you want to see. If you want to hear people like Priya with industry talk more and spend a little bit more time on that and a little less time on automations, you want the automations to be more difficult, you want to use different products, you have an idea for an automation you want me to do, whatever the case may be, please provide that feedback. I want to make sure that I know y'all are super busy, so I want to make sure that we're using your time to the best of our abilities, and that you're getting the most out of these courses as you possibly can. So if you can think of anything to suggest, please do. And I promise we are going to take all this feedback into great consideration. So thank y'all so much and have a great weekend. But me and Priya will stick around if any last questions. And then, yeah, Dr. Smith, I saw that you said you want to know more about Orchestrator. Yeah, definitely going through the Automation Developer Associate. That's actually one of my weaker points too, to be completely open and honest with you, to be honest. And they do have courses directly for getting to know Orchestrator and the fundamentals. So I think I need to go through that course myself again. It's called Orchestrator Overview for Automation Developers. And I'm sure there's even more that you can dive deeper with.
Do you mind showing
Yeah,
how to
no
get?
problem, Dr. Smith. Okay. I'm actually going to show you kind of two ways. Did I share the right screen? Yes. Okay. So this is the link to get to that Automation Developer Associate Learning Plan, and that's where it has 2 of the Orchestrator courses that I was mentioning. So you could go to the learning plan structure, and then you could, scroll down and look for the courses with Orchestrator. So we have this one here and this one here, and you could click start. Another way to do it as well is to just click on the courses tab on the Academy. So what you can do there is then you can go over here and you can actually filter the courses, whether that be from products, language, difficulty level, everything along those lines. So I can click show more on product and actually go and click on Orchestrator. And then I will select English. So we don't have the Japanese courses. So then you can see every single course that we have that has something to do with Orchestrator. So if you just want an expert level of Orchestrator, you can also look and see all the courses that we have available. But if you want to pick the ones that are kind of geared towards automation developers, I can also share with you the links to those exact 2 courses as well. But just want to show you that capability that we have on our Academy platform. And sorry, I got lost in my links. I can send you those links really quick. That's because I navigated away. 1 second, sorry. And I'll just throw them in the chat so you can take them with you. I thought I'd be able to copy the link here, but I actually might have to take what I just recommended to you because I just want to send this one course over. Copy link. All right, there's that first one. And then the other one was called this. Oops. Oh, now it's letting me copy the link. And then here's the other one. I think I saw you ask a question about the UiPath conferences. And historically in the past, we really haven't had as much of what academic educator presence at our forward that's hosted in Las Vegas. But definitely, if you don't mind just sending me an email after this. We are doing our planning for the next year, so not making any promises or anything, but I'm definitely more than happy to bring it up with my manager and see if we can make changes of that in the future. So nothing as of right now, but we can definitely see if that's a possibility. All right. And then does anyone else have any other questions?
Just one more thing. It wasn't
Yes.
clear where to get the developer portion. I can go the same route and click filter and select developer, or?
Yeah, so really quick, let me go here. So this is if you're on our academy, you can go to learning plans. So basically learning plans are just compilations of individual courses into, these are the courses that we recommend for that role. So you can find, if you click on learning plans in our academy, then just go to Automation Developer Associate Training. And if you click on that, then that will show you the entire learning plan for that automation developer role.
Perfect. Thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries. All right. Does anyone else have any questions? Yes, and Priya just dropped her LinkedIn. Definitely, she's a great connect to have on LinkedIn. Definitely recommend. All right, sounds good. Well, we're going to close out the chats, and the recording should be up by the end of the day if any of y'all need to access it. And thank y'all for sticking with us. All right,
Thanks, Michaela.
thanks, bye.